So it's the middle of June and you've realized you're nowhere near your goal. You created a bunch of habits for yourself this year and now you find yourself struggling to stay consistent with the habits that you wanted to implement into your life this year. You want to do the same so that you can achieve the goals that you set out for yourself. And so by the end of this video, you'll be left with the exact action steps that you need to take right now so that you can actually start being consistent on the habits that you want in your life so that you can achieve the goals of your life. And so let's get into it, okay? To start off, I just want to add a bit of context, like what gives me the credibility to talk about consistency. So I used to be pretty inconsistent with taking care of my health. How did I become consistent on all of the pillar habits that I currently have in my life, such as exercising every other day, sleeping on time every day, and journaling and eating healthy? And how do I actually stay consistent with all of those habits when I had been so inconsistent before? After realizing these three things and making a few tweaks to the habits that I wanted to implement, such as exercising every day and sleeping on time, etc., I am now consistent with all of those habits that I wanted to have in my life for the past year and a half. So that's why now I want to share with you how I've been able to stay consistent with those habits for this long, but you can do the same to your life too. So what were the first few realizations that I needed to make in order to make sure that these habits stuck and I was consistent on these habits, right? And so the first thing that I realized is that I'm much more likely to stay consistent on a habit when I recognize the amount of value that it brings to my life. I'm much more likely to stick to the habit if I'm able to see the immediate result. These immediate results don't necessarily have to be correlated to the habit that is supposed to give you the result, right? Let's take an example here, right? So when I first started getting serious about my exercising, obviously I didn't see immediate results and changes with my body, right? It's not like I gained 10 pounds of muscle and lost 10 pounds of fat in like 2 days, right? Obviously, I didn't see those immediate results, right? But I did see immediate results in other aspects of my life, right? I was able to sleep better. I was able to have better mood. I was able to stay awake throughout the day longer. So I saw immediate changes with respect to my mood and lifestyle, like how my lifestyle changed, how my mood changed, how my energy changed. And I also realized how much of an impact the habit makes when I accidentally skip a day or when I take a rest day from exercising. That's when I'm like, this provides me so much value into my life that I have to make sure that I stay consistent on this habit or else my day just goes terribly. The second thing that I realized was that I'm much more likely to become inconsistent if I'm bounded by limiting beliefs. And so continuing on with the example of exercising, when I was trying to implement the habit of exercising into my life, this was like before I even started going to the gym, I had the belief that I'm lazy, I'm inactive, and I'm not a fit person. By taking the action of exercising, that action went against the identity that I had for myself. And so then after like 2 weeks, I ended up stopping because the identity and the action that I was taking was misaligned. And so because the mind wants to stay consistent with the identity that it's created for itself, it doesn't want anything that disrupts this identity, right? Even if it's an identity that you think is good for you, that you know you should take on, but like something's just preventing you from stopping it, right? And that thing that's preventing you from stopping it is your limiting beliefs, right? And you need to make the according identity shifts in order to get over that limiting belief. And so if you want to know more about limiting beliefs, how you get over them, and the exact steps that you can do today to start getting over your limiting beliefs, check out this video that I've created so that you can actually get over your limiting beliefs and actually start incorporating the healthy habit that you want into your life. The third thing that I realized was that if I wanted this habit to stick, like if I really wanted to have this habit into my life, I cannot be doing 100 other habits at the same time. This lesson has been taught to me time and time again. An example of this is when I started my YouTube channel, I also wanted to do 100 other things, right? I want to start a business, I want to go network with people, I want to go talk with people, I wanted to learn how to code, and I also wanted to do school, and I also wanted to get good grades, I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that, I wanted to do this. And so as a result of that, I was inconsistent with my YouTube, right? Like there were periods of times where I didn't post for like 2 or 3 months because I was just trying to do too many things at once and it just did not work out for me, right? By the time I actually got to filming a YouTube video, like I had basically no time, nor did I have the energy to actually sit down, film and edit and content plan the whole YouTube process. Those were the realizations that I had that I needed in order to stick to the habits that I wanted to implement into my life. First, becoming aware of the amount of value a habit gives into my life. Second was to make sure I didn't have any limiting beliefs associated with this habit. And the third thing was to make sure that I wasn't overwhelmed with trying to take on 100 habits at once to implement into my life. So now that we know those realizations and those realizations that you can make too, and try and figure out why you're also being inconsistent. These are the small tweaks that I made to my habit in order for me to be able to stick with the habit very easily. And so the first thing that I did was to sandwich the action that I wanted to create into a habit in between two habits that I was already doing into my life. For example, when I got serious about starting exercising and incorporating that into my life and making it actually a habit, then I realized that I needed to sandwich it in between two habits that I was already doing. I decided that I wanted to put it right after I brushed my teeth and before I showered, I would exercise. Because I made the habit like that into my life, it was already in the natural flow of things. It was already kind of in my routine. So I didn't have that big of a jump into doing the habit, into doing the action. And so because of that, it made the action so much more easier to stick with. And because I was able to stick with it in the long run, then it actually became a habit for me that actually affected me greatly. And the second thing that I did in order to tweak the habit so that it was very much more easy to stick with was to make it small, easy, and recognizable. So continuing on with the example of me exercising, right? When I first started off, I realized that I can't have a bunch of extra resistance associated with this habit, right? If I actually want this to stick in the long run and actually create a lifestyle change, then I can't have so much resistance when I'm just starting out, right? And so that's why when I first started, I decided, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna start exercising in my room, in PJs, and follow a YouTube video, right? And so that made it so much more easier for me to be able to stick with this habit because I was already in my workout clothes because I was doing my exercising in PJs, and I was already at the gym because my gym was my room, right? So I didn't have to go out of my way to travel and drive and change into gym clothes and do this and that and this and that at the beginning of this habit, right? Because if I were to do all those things at the beginning of my habit, it would have made it so much more harder to stick to, right? Because I would have been like, oh, I have to go change into clothes and I have to go drive to the gym and then I have to go and think of what exercise I wanted to do and then actually learn how to use the machine. And oh my god, it would have been so much more resistance associated with the action of just wanting to exercise and wanting to integrate that habit into my life that I would have just stopped doing it. Because I made it so easy for me to stick to at the beginning, I slowly recognized what value it gave me, and slowly after that I was able to build upon the habit and actually get to the habit that I wanted to get to, which was going to the gym every other day, right? Just like that, you have to start small, start with baby steps, and then build upon it bit by bit so you get to your actual goal of whatever habit that you want into your life. That was basically all I did to stay consistent with the habits that I have in my life. So now that I've shared all this, what are your exact steps that you can take today to actually start becoming consistent on the habits that you want to integrate into your life? So first off, I want you to pick one habit that you want to start staying consistent on, right? And you got to be serious about this. Second of all, I want you to figure out why you're inconsistent with that habit. So you can refer back to the examples that I gave in this video and use my experience as reference as to how you might be inconsistent with your habits. Just ask yourself some questions. Just be like, how do I feel when I go on to take this action, right? And when you ask yourself how you feel when you're about to take an action, you start to uncover if there's any limiting beliefs. After you've figured out why you might be inconsistent, solve the reason you're inconsistent on, right? And you can totally refer to my video that I've made on limiting beliefs if you realize that you had a limiting belief associated with this habit. And after that, I want you to tweak your habit just a bit. Analyze like how you can make this habit easier to stick to. How can you implement it into your day so that it flows into your natural routine and so it's not going against the flow of your natural routine. And so that's basically it for this video. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I really hope that my story and the steps that I outlined in this video helps you to stay consistent with the habits that you want to implement into your life. Comment down below the one habit that you're going to try and become consistent on. And I'm Krisha, and I will see you next week.